the situation in Israel just got more complicated for the United States. Don't go back, it's raining on all different parts in the Gaza Strip, and hundreds of people being killed, thousands now being wounded. I think over 6,000 was the last number I saw. We now have confirmation from the White House that the United States is now involved in a way we did not imagine and certainly would have not liked. Just moments ago, the president said this.
We now know that American citizens are among those being held by Hamas. I've directed my team to share intelligence and deploy additional experts from across the United States government to consult with and advise Israeli counterparts on hostage recovery efforts.
All right, look, we just got to jump right off the top. And I want to kind of go into a bit of a deep dive here on explaining kind of what's at stake here and what challenges are and what the possibilities for success may be, because every American wants all of our people. It's kind of, I was in service, it was, like an article of faith. Nobody gets left behind. We don't leave anyone behind. And so now then in a combat zone, Israel has outright declared war. Our people have been taken hostage by the enemy force. So the question is, what do we need to do to get back? What are the prospects and what might it take? Well, first of all, the news is good, I'm afraid. I don't know that Hamas actually intended to take Americans. I think that they were just grabbing people in different areas, and they didn't who they were. They didn't find out because they didn't know who would be any place at a given time. But now that the United States is that poses both a problem and a possibility for Hamas, because that may give them more leverage, but it also may put them more in the crosshairs. And we don't know yet which way they're going to view this. But here's what we want. Certain hostages, total hostages, maybe even more. No one really has a solid number right now, but we now do know there's at least that many Americans. Hamas came, one of their primary targets when they broke through the fence was they sent one group out to just cause mayhem and killing people left and right, just to cause terror. And then they had other groups that were designed to go and grab hostages and then get them back into the Gaza Strip as fast as possible. Once they were in there, now then they have gone basically like cockroaches under the sink. You have no idea where they went when they went back in there. Most likely they have been spread out throughout the entire district of Gaza, throughout the whole strip. And there could be in tunnels somewhere. They could be in basements. They could be in the top of high rises. No one really knows where any of them are. In fact, no one does know where any of them are at the moment. But we do know that they're almost certainly put in positions that Hamas typically selected, places that has ability to observe any ingress routes, so they could see if any Israeli attempts to rescue hostages are coming, and they'll have the routes probably mined with improvised explosives, or they have snipers out in the area, and they certainly will have lookouts. So based on how Hamas has performed since they've opened this operation on a tactical level, has been very sophisticated, very coordinated, and very well thought out. We can only expect that the same is true for their defensive preparation. And as Israel is constantly encouraged, I'm sure that Hamas has thought very well about how Israel is going to operate, how they've done it in the past, and they probably have countermeasures. And specifically for the hostages, they're going to put them in places to where it's nearly impossible for Israel to come and rescue them. Now, one of the primary things that is necessary for any operation to capture or to recapture hostages is obviously you got to first know where they are. But second, you have to have good intelligence to be able to know what the environment is. And that is profoundly difficult in this situation because Israel has lost most of its eyes and ears, and they certainly don't have access to any human intelligence, any operatives on the ground, or it's going to be very limited at any rate. Now, they'll have satellite photography. They'll certainly be flying drones over every square inch of that place to try to map it out, and they'll be looking for everything. But Hamas is aware of that, so they probably will not be moving in areas in ways that can be detected, which means that we probably aren't going to know where any of these hostages are. If we do find them, then the question is the president said he's sending some hostage negotiation teams and advisors, snatch and grab hostages. And certainly we have that capacity. We've done it many times in our own forces throughout the world in different places. but that is a very high risk operation. And what the White House is not going to risk is to have some sort of, quick effort to try and go in and get somebody that ends up getting them killed, because that's worse than what's the situation we have now. And Israel's into the same situation for all their people that have been taken. They, rush to failure, as we used to say in the military. And it's well thought first. It's got to have great intelligence, and you have to be able to determine there's a good chance of success. Otherwise, it's going to be down to negotiations. And then that's the next challenge. What is Israel willing to talk about? What is the United States willing to talk about to get our people back? We all have a standing mantra. Netanyahu has already correctly said we're anything with Hamas, and so now then that appears to have closed off that route. But there are some reports out today that actually there are some behind the scenes talks, and I certainly hope that's the case, because it's paramount important to get these people back so that no more innocent civilians die. But there's two reasons why Hamas would have done this, what they would have taken hostages, while that was a primary objective for operation. One is because it's put a big inhibition on the Israeli attempt to storm the place. So they can't just send in a bunch of troops and just go on this big, rampaging attack, because then the hostages can be killed in the process anyway. Or, as Hamas has threatened, they may execute the hostages. So that's to put the brakes on East, and Israel should go in, whether the IDF should launch an attack or not. But the second thing is Hamas wants to leverage those, so they actually negotiations, because they want to get Israel told, and some 5,000 of them, and they say that they want to get them all back. Now, obviously, that puts a huge conundrum on Benjamin Netanyahu and his government, because if they make a negotiated deal to get all the citizens back, and look, some of these, there's some old women, there's some little kids. I understand that the youngest that they know about so far is 9 months old. So there's an excruciating desire by all of Israeli society to get those people back unharmed. And so they're going to want that. But there's also this desire not to give in to the terrorists, these people who are in prison because they're guilty of crimes against Israel. And they've probably taken part in terrorist operations before. So they don't want to give the experienced terrorists back into the camp of Hamas. And it's just a really, really difficult, excruciating, as well as Washington, aid the terrorists by giving them more strength and power and people who can help conduct more operations. And in a situation like this in modern time, okay, you start making deals, or we're going to start killing them one at a time, and we're going to do it on air. And these people have shown that they have no inhibitions. They don't care about their own lives. They don't care about the lives of innocent people on the Israeli side. They don't care about their citizens. They're hiding in places where by launch of these rockets, they end up falling in places where Palestinians are. So everybody's getting killed in the crossfire, and Hamas doesn't care. Truly, all evidence points to that they have hardened their minds and made a decision before the first round was fired that they're all in, and they don't care if they die or not. Apparently, up to 1,500 have already been killed of the Palestinian of the Hamas gunmen. How many are left? We don't know how many they still have. It's unfortunately the situation does not look good for the hostage. I don't think anyone should interact. Everything, the electricity to the Gaza Strip, and right now nobody's getting anything. Palestinian people don't have food, water, and electricity. Then probably there's not a lot of good news in this, and we should not have a praying person. Then you should pray to God, because that's probably right now is the best hope that anybody has And we're going to keep watching this. And as the situation changes, I'll bring you updated information. But that's where the situation is with the hostages as of now. And we'll talk to you on the next episode. See you later.